This episode of The Breakfast Dish is brought to you by Park Power, your friendly local utilities provider in Alberta, offering internet, electricity, and natural gas with low rates, awesome service, and profit sharing with local charities.
Local charities, is that you?
Am I a local charity?
You're a 24-year-old in your own apartment.
All right, listen, in Alberta, you get to choose who to buy your internet and electricity and natural gas from. And if you choose Park Power, you're choosing a positive local business. They're local.
Shop local.
You have to shop local. Plus, Park Power shares its profits with local non-for-profits, which is, I think, a great deal. And because those non-for-profits are looking to make a difference for their communities. And shopping local is very important to Park Power's owner, Chris Kozowski. And we love local here at the Alberta Podcast Network, so it's a great fit.
Do you think that the Park Power owner, Chris Kozowski, picked a double P because his name has a double K?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we'll confirm that. Chris, let us know.
Where we can confirm it is where you can also learn more, which is at parkpower.ca.
Tell me your dreams over bacon and eggs. We'll share a laugh and a story and even a wish on the breakfast dish. Bop, 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 bop.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 44 of The Breakfast Dish, the podcast that I, Karen Johnson-Diamond, co-host with my son, my offspring, my one and only Griffin Cork, who is...
Hi, everybody. It's me, Griffin Cork. I'm here to make a Breakfast Dish announcement. Anyone who's joined us on the show is very familiar with every time that we are giving pre-show instructions, Karen says we're going to do 2 or 3 minutes of hilarious show-stopping and then a whole bunch of other awesome, fun adjectives, banter. So for the next 2 or 3 minutes, Griffin won't be saying a single word and Karen will have to improvise as she's a professional improviser. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, I'm not really going to improvise. I'm just going to tell the story of why today's episode, because we are recording on June the 7th, and we're going to be talking about why today's episode is a little late because I'm supposed to be editing it, and I was supposed to edit it last night. Am I allowed to talk about this, Griffin?
You can. I don't know if this is going to work out time. Yes.
It will. Oh, yeah, last episode. I would say last week.
If you've listened to this Zip Gallery episode and now you're here, and if you're a diehard Breakfast Dish fan and you knew that it was late.
Okay, you are a diehard I know you are if you're listening. You're a diehard Breakfast Dish fan. And last week's June 7th episode with the Zip Art Gallery was late because I couldn't edit it until the day that it was due, because on Sunday night, the 6th...
I can't believe you're doing this.
Griffin came over for supper, but he was also doing his laundry, and he brought his laundry, and he was in the laundry room, and he was crouched down, and our laundry room's quite tight, but he was crouched down putting stuff in the dryer or whatever. And his mother, for some reason, thinks the best place to hang the barbecue tools is off the coat hooks in that back room. And so when Griffin...
I should say the coat hooks... there's 2 sets of coat hooks. There's one at a higher level and there's the lower level. What we're concerned about with this story is the lower level. And I know I said I wasn't going to talk, but this is important.
The lower level hooks included the hanging of 2 forks and a spatula and a gigantic barbecue knife. And so when Griffin stood up, he stood up and stabbed himself in the back with the barbecue knife.
Mm-hmm. I Vlad the Impaled myself.
He Vlad the Impaled himself to the point where he was, first of all, he was really mad because he really liked the shirt that he had on, which now has a gigantic hole in it and it's covered in blood.
It makes me sound so materialistic. No. I could have lost my kidneys.
However, I had to actually take him to urgent care to get stitches for the fact that he's been stabbed in the back by his mother.
It's not okay. So my Karen is taking on the responsibility there, and that's not really her fault. I remember the barbecue tools there hanging there like since I was a child, so it's not like I didn't know they were there. But yeah, there was a moment of like I was bleeding. I showed my mom, and she's like, "You have to get stitches." I was like, "No, it's fine." And she was like, "I don't know." And so we had to take a picture of it, email it to my grandmother, her mother, Sandy Moser, who's a retired nurse. And she called me. She went, "Yeah, that certainly needs stitches." And I was like, "All right."
Okay, really quick, tell about the nurses and what they said.
The nurses, I mean, I knew it was an embarrassing story to tell, and it also sounds very suspicious. I stood up in the laundry room and a barbecue tool stabbed me. It sounds like I was in a crime. Anyway, when you're in urgent care and before you get into the actual like suture room, you're just in like a curtained off area. So you can hear everything the nurses are saying. And the nurses, I wasn't too worried because the nurses were killing themselves laughing. And they were like, how do you even do that? Wow, that one looks really deep. Oh, it's gaping. The skin's like serrated. Like they were like goofing off. And for some reason, that really helped. I've come to the point of my adult life where something like this is like a mild annoyance. I'm like, I had things to do tonight. But the experience of like these three nurses being like, you what? That really solidified it as an event, as a life experience.
So right now we are recording for
as I bleed out.
As you bleed out.
I have 3 witnesses while I die. I'm not doing anything.
This episode is being released on June the 14th. And you will be editing this episode, Griffin, prior to that.
I will also be 25.
You will be. Your birthday's coming up this week. So I will not suffer any injuries. You do not get too wrecked on your birthday. And then this episode will come out perfectly. And this episode features... first tell us what we do on this episode, Griffin. What do we do on this podcast?
Basically what we do is we just review all of Griffin's injuries in kind of gory detail and lay it out like that on the Alberta Podcast Network.
Yeah, that's normally what we do. But today, for something different, we're just going to highlight some art in Alberta that is happening digitally or socially distanced or online or whatever. And the art that we're featuring today comes from one of my favorite places, but mostly one of my mother's favorite places on the face of the earth, which is Strathcona High School, which is known shortly as Scona High School, short version. And our guests today are the drama teacher at Scona, Linette Smith, known shortly as Smith, and one of the students, Ben Ali, known shortly as Really Cool. And they're going to talk to us about all things Scona. Welcome, Linette. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you. Who keeps a knife in the laundry room? That's all I could think of during that whole time.
So the other thing is we took a picture of it, and it's a scary looking utensil. It's really like a butcher knife on a long stick. Like it's like a zombie defense spear is really what it is.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you might need that if there's a zombie apocalypse and you're doing laundry at the same time.
Or if my mother tries to assassinate me again.
There you go. Yep, there it is.
Yeah,
Ben,
multitasking.
Do you have any fun injuries?
Ooh, kinda. When I was young, well, yeah, let me just say hi first. Hello. Hi.
I bulldozed the whole intro. Ben, tell me how you're hurt.
And just to get this out of the way, just to get all the formalities out of the way, my father is actually known as Really Cool. You can call me Extremely Cool.
Gotcha.
so
Sorry.
you know.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
it happens
cool.
all the time.
It's a union thing, yeah.
Get it.
Yeah. Yeah, injuries. Fun topic. When I was younger, I used to live in Dubai, right? And my parents were like crazy busy, so they'd like be working all the time, and just because of like the lifestyle there, I would have like nannies, right? Like pretty regularly. And I will talk about this scar I have like on my right eye. I'll go ahead and see if I can show you right there.
Wow.
And so what happened was, so both my parents are at work, and I'm at a park like near my house with this nanny of mine, and I was like really just eccentric as a kid, and I would run around all the time, and my parents were so annoyed by it, but I would just run all the time. I would never stay still, like at all. And so I was really young. I was like 5 or something, and there's this kid who was kind of like barking up some trouble, like he was like kind of challenging me, and I was like I took that to heart. So I decided that naturally the only thing we could settle things was with a race, and so that's exactly what we did.
Little did he know you were an eccentric.
An extremely eccentric.
Oh yeah. And so I was like a little bit faster than him. And we were like, okay, so we were racing in this like kind of rocky area, which was like dangerous, but we didn't really, know better or care.
I'm watching the teacher shake her head. Oh my God.
I've since learned and grown to take precautions, but the This was a different time. We're racing, and it's near like the end of our marked end, right? But so he starts to get like kind of agitated, and he like kind of pushes me, right? And so I fall like face first, just like onto a rock, right? Like right near like my eye, and you know, because we're like running around, we were like kind of like pretty far away, so like my nanny at the time was just kind of like off in the distance. She was kind of like honestly bad at her job, if I recall. But like well, I mean, it's fair to say, because I'm basically just like a 5-year-old kid like laying there like bleeding, right? And she's like nowhere to be found. But luckily one of like my godparents picked me up because they saw, and they took me to the hospital, and that was taken care of. But I mean, you know, similar experiences.
It's true though, because really, if I was babysitting a kid and there was a point that I noticed the kid that I was babysitting and another kid were actively running very fast away from me, I'd probably have words.
I wouldn't. I'd be too busy sharpening the barbecue knife.
That's right. This is going to really hurt in 20 years. All right. Well, now I have to know, Linette, if you have any fun injury stories.
Oh my gosh, I have so many injuries, but I'll tell one that Ben just reminded me of. I didn't have a nanny. I had sisters, and so who loved me very much. But they would always make me do the things in the park. So I just remember as a kid, there was a zip line over a sand kind of box thing, and I was always the person who had to jump to get it if it got stuck in the middle because nobody could reach it. So I would climb up on the platform and launch myself off, and every time I would get it. But there was one time
it sounded like you were tall. You just had to jump.
I had to jump, and I was a tall kid, but I was also kind of reckless, I guess, like Ben. But I jumped off. I launched myself off this thing, and I went to grab it, and you could just feel it like slip out of my grip, and I landed on my head and knocked myself out. Yeah, so like literally blacked out in the sand. And then my sisters, who made me go get it, left me in the park to go get help, but they both left. So there's that. Yeah. Oh yeah, playgrounds, so fun.
I completely like forgot to mention earlier, but the kid I was racing at the time also just took off. Like he was gone.
Well, yeah.
I didn't do it.
He won.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
If there's no witnesses, he won.
My mother always said I'd put out someone's eye.
Karen, what about you? What's a fun injury for you?
My brother once stabbed me in the arm with a pencil, and it stuck there.
Great. Moving on.
I have a little lead mark that has never gone away because it's
Why did Larry injure you? Do I have to go to his house?
Because he's my brother.
I have a baseball bat.
Speaking of brothers.
All right, here we go. Karen sets herself up for a transition, and we'll see how she does it.
Speaking of brothers, my brother was once riding in my car with me on an icy road. And
Why
just
was
a
that?
minute. Just let me finish my own segue.
You're right. Sorry, you're right. I'm so sorry.
My brother Larry was once Larry Craig. My brother Larry Craig was once riding in my car with me when I bashed into the back of somebody, and he went forward and went into the windshield and spider crashed it. And he was fine, but that's worse than a pencil in the arm. But I used the word ride, and his middle name is Craig, which starts with a C, which also starts the word cyclone. And somewhere in there, I used the word the. So we're going to talk about Ride the Cyclone and many other artistic adventures happening at Scona High School. That was my worst segue yet. That was the worst one.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was beautiful.
Hi guys, it's Griffin here with another breakfast dish update. I'm just announcing my retirement of of my co-host position at the podcast. I won't be producing. I'll be tending to my assassination wound.
Can I have Ben? Can I have Ben then as a co-host then?
Can you have?
Are you leaving?
I don't get to give permission whether or not you can have Ben. That's not really my call. Ben, will you be my
co-host if Griffin retires?
Is that up to him? Did I sign a waiver that I didn't know of?
Yeah, yes.
Am I liable here?
Just by joining this call.
Yeah, we kind of snuck it into the Instagram terms and conditions, so it's in there. We got you.
That's how they get you.
Yeah.
All right. You have already filmed a production of Ride the Cyclone. So, first of all, Ben, tell us about the play Ride the Cyclone. It's a musical, if I'm right. I've seen it before, but a million years ago. So tell me about it, Ben, please.
Ooh, Ride the Cyclone is this amazing musical we've been working on, and it's based in Saskatchewan, like in the story. And it's about a bunch of, like a group of teens that normally wouldn't associate with one another who, and this is not a spoiler, it's very elaborate, or
evident.
What's the word? Evident, like in the first like couple minutes of the show. But it's a bunch of teens who are part of this choir who go on a roller coaster, and the roller coaster crashes and they all die, sadly. It's so horrible. Again, not a spoiler, but all these teenagers in the afterlife kind of come together and express themselves in a way that they never could in their real lives, without having, the stresses of being accepted by society, or like repercussions for their actions or how they express themselves. And they truly just discover truths about themselves and about each other that they would not have, come to at the beginning. And they do it through a musical number and dance and song. And it's very, very good. I like the show a lot, because I mean, naturally, I'm on the show. But it is a very good show. And really deals with a lot of like personal issues that teenagers might be going through.
I feel like the best musicals come out of terrible tragedies. Here's my favorite, Floyd Collins. Have you ever heard of Floyd Collins? Do you know Light in the Piazza? Same guy that wrote that, Floyd Collins, is a true story about this Kentucky farmer who gets trapped in a cave under his land in 1925 and dies. Like, it's the worst topic for a musical ever, and it's the best, most wonderful musical. Linette, wait, Griffin, did you have a question? I allow.
I was going to make some joke about the movie where the guy gets stuck in a cave, and I could not remember the name, so we're moving on.
28 hours.
28 days, 27 hours.
128 hours.
128 hours,
That's what, 127 hours.
127, we'll get there.
28 days later is the zombie film.
Right,
which
that's what I was thinking of.
And I'll use the barbecue tool. Perfect, we made it happen.
Amazing.
You go, Karen.
Linette, okay, we've been through this last 17 months of stay away from each other times.
I thought you were going to raise a grievance with Linette on the podcast.
Linette, we've been through this before.
We've been over this many times.
Okay, I'm ready.
I doubt this is the first thing you filmed in the last 17 months because of the restrictions on what you can and can't produce in school, etc. So is it getting easier? Tell me about the filming of this production.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love this question. So only once before, and it was in the summer previous to school starting, did I film something that was supposed to be a stage production, and I filmed it, and I brought pals together that knew what they were doing. And I was like, oh, thank God for them, because they taught me so much. And I'm a stage person. I'm a director and a choreographer for live theater. I don't do a lot of film. And so I've taken so many workshops and so many classes and called so many people and been on Zoom more than I need to be to try to figure out all these things. But this production, Ride the Cyclone in particular, was supposed to be live. It was filmed on our stage. That was number one. So it's supposed to be filmed on our stage. We were then going to hopefully do it as a drive-in theater in our school parking lot. So we had it all staged in our space when we were allowed to be together because we are a class. And then things shut down and we're like, okay, well, do we pivot to go on Zoom because we're supposed to be editing things in May and it's supposed to be up in June. And then we got permission to one pouring rain weekend, to film it in 15 hours in a completely different space that was outdoors under a track tent and a mechanic's garage where all the doors could be open. And so we basically reblocked the entire show in a setting to make it make it come to life. And these amazing students went, okay, let's make it happen. Let's rework everything so that it could be filmed in a way that we felt like honored the story, honored all of their work, and really honored the beautiful music in this piece and those wacky stories to be told. So we pivoted many times to make it happen, but it looks great on film. It's looking so good. Yeah.
You pivoted so many times that you went in circles like a cyclone.
Ooh, good one.
Nice.
That's very good.
So I know it's at least by the same playwright, but I've also heard rumors that Ride the Cyclone is kind of the spiritual successor to Legoland. Is that true?
Correct. Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right, because Legoland is one of my favorite plays of all time.
I love it. And the Penny Lamb and Jane Doe characters are echoes of each other, basically. And yeah. And so the idea of the actor who plays Jane Doe, I made her read Legoland. I was like, you need to know your story. You need to know the inception of this character that gets you to the point where you are. And there's so much that just really, obviously the Saskatchewan uranium city, right? That whole idea of the very prairie feel and just the echoes that are in each show is very cool. So one should really read the other when you're doing them, for sure.
I should also say, sorry, Jacob Richmond. Jacob Richmond is who's written them. I didn't say that, and now I have.
Good boy. Credit where credit is due.
Yeah, I love that you had a copy right there, too.
How did you do the music? Did you sing it live, or did you sing in a studio and then lip sync while you were filming? Or
yeah, I can start with that, and then Ben maybe can talk about the process. But we learned music over Zoom with a music director who basically muted everybody and then listened to them one at a time. Then students sent recordings to this human so that they could send feedback. Mackenzie Tennyson, amazing musical director. And then we brought students in one at a time over a few weekends into a sound booth we made here at the school because we don't have one. And they had their backtracks in their ears and they sang the entire show through. And then we sent them to Caitlin Legree, who works out of the Arden in St. Albert, who mixed everything for us. Yeah, all new skills.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so singing the whole way through, Ben. You had to sing the show top to bottom.
Yeah, it is kind of like crazy in perspective to think about like all the things we had to do, but like like the process of just learning the music on like Zoom and then like other online softwares and then back to Zoom and like Google Meets and just like everything we had to do was like definitely like new. Like it like I don't want to like it was very interesting to like have to learn singing like just at like your screen instead of like actually being there like with everyone else. But we would do like one-on-one sessions, right? And I feel like if anything, because of that, we did kind of like learn the music kind of quickly, like because we would have rehearsals, singing rehearsals about like twice a week, I think, back when we were like in the beginning of the process. But once we had done all the online stuff and we had learned the show and learned all like how to sing all the songs, like Smith was saying, we would come in and basically we just have printed out sheet music for all of the songs and we just sing our parts like top to bottom. We would actually start out with like our solo numbers because each character in the show has like their own like number that they kind of like lead role in, if that makes sense. And so we'd like kind of like knock those out of the way first, get like approval from Mackenzie, who like really has just made so much of this possible. Like love her so much. Yeah. And so we'd like get like our like solo stuff out of the way first, and then we'd like kind of move on to the backup vocals for all the other like for everyone else's solo stuff, and then like just top to bottom basically. And we knocked it out in like 2 or 3 kind of weekend sessions that would like go from like an hour to like 2 hours.
Weekends. So wait, how many people are in the show? What is the cast number?
7.
It's a cast of 7, yeah.
So
oh my God.
If I'm imagining it right, you're in a homemade sound studio in your drama room, which probably looks like my homemade podcast studio, which is just mattresses on my wall. And you have headphones on and you're listening. And if you're doing the backing track, what we're hearing is just you going, ooh, la, la, la.
Basically, yeah.
Cyclone, cyclone.
That's exactly right.
It's just rap ad libs. Yeah.
like the tech people, the tech people working on it, like could hear the music and could hear us with it as well. But for anyone just walking by, they would just hear total silence and just like uranium just out of nowhere. Like that's it.
Uranium.
Check it out.
The best is that Ben plays Misha Baczynski, who is like sings like T-Pain in one song too.
Yeah.
So
full
that
auto-tune and
full
everything.
auto-tune. Yeah, hilarious. So that just even that aspect is like, okay, sing it. Now we've got to auto-tune it. Now we the tuning on that was wild to play with too. So there's just so many factors in this realm of digital theater. Oh my gosh.
And Griffin, just kind of like how you were saying earlier, because like I play Misha and I have like a rap number basically. When we had like kind of like got it in like a comfortable space and we had like a little extra time, we kind of tried experimenting with
Of course.
like call outs or ad libs, right? And so I just sit there for the whole song for like 3.5 minutes, total silence, just listening to myself, right? And just hear myself just rapping and just being like, yeah. Just
Chicka chicka. Game over.
Wait. How about this one? What?
Yeah, it's good. It's good, I guess. I think you broke your mic, but yeah. Dude, in fact, okay, now I need to hear a rap ad lib from Linette.
Okay, good.
A rap Mad Lib for me. Bra, bra, bra. There you go.
Yeah, very good. Okay, Karen, one more shot before we hear another what. Here we go.
Oh, from me?
Yeah.
Mr. T-Pain. No, Mr. Worldwide.
Okay. Yeah, different artist, but 100% great. Yeah.
It's Pitbull.
One of them was just a
Pitbull.
formal
I do like
T-Pain, and one of them was Pitbull.
There you go.
covering
both-
every base.
They both announced themselves in all
Governor
their songs.
T-Pain! Duchess Kim Kardashian!
Can you imagine if we as actors did that? Like the minute I walked on stage, I went, Karen Johnson Diamond. Out, damn spot.
We do kind of like with self-tapes. It's like a little rap slate.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Ben, what else are you doing at Scona?
Ooh, so yeah, we've been working on Ride the Cyclone a lot, and we also have other main stage shows going on in the school. We have 2 other main stage shows, Concord Floral, which I am not in, and Metamorphosis, which is another show that I am in, which sadly we did not get to record in person like we did with Cyclone. We had to adapt it though, and it's a very like versatile show. It gave us a lot of room to play around and experiment with it, but we ended up recording it on Zoom, which is a little bit of a shame. But at the same time, we still got to bring art to life in this crazy time.
And thank God.
Yeah, and if that's not something to be proud of, then I don't know.
Yeah. For Metamorphosis, we built a pool on our stage.
We built a whole pool,
a whole swimming pool, and then we got to walk in it dry, and then the next 2 days later, everything was shut down. So we're like, well, there goes that one.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Is it something you would do again, in the sense that like the if you missed out on these shows last year and some kids are back with you next year, would you reprogram those shows?
I feel like the way we got to investigate all the shows this year still really honored the shows. Okay. And as much as I really want to do Metamorphosis in a pool, even if it's like a Parks and Rec wading pool, one day I'll do that. Or the ledge reflection pool, I'll do it. I feel like the students that are returning that were a part of those shows probably want a new challenge. And so like closing that chapter, but it'll emerge later. I said, we'll do it for Fringe one year. We'll put the pool back on the Scona stage and do a Scona alumni Metamorphosis.
I'm just saying we renovated our back deck so it can fit probably about 30 people socially distanced, and I have a hot tub that fits 6. So
Perfect. We're coming to your place.
Yeah. I want it on my back
We'll
deck.
talk.
I want this.
And Concord, we wanted to, and Griffin, you were in Concord Floral, were you not?
I love Concord Floral.
Oh, it's such an incredible script. Jordan Tannehill. We were going to do it in our parking lot here at school. It just felt like, again, the right place to do it. The kids that always talk about being out at night and do you know where your children are and this sense of loom that happens. And we have this great space that's just off of White Ave and the sound of traffic. And so that one, again, we recorded on Zoom. But I feel like of all the shows, Concord fits Zoom because it's these stories that can be told right to you and that sense of individual voice in that show. So that one felt the most realized through the Zoom platform.
Yeah, if anything that, Zoom has kind of done for us, it kind of gives you a feeling when you're watching shows for someone to quite literally be like directly in front of you in your face. So that has been very interesting to work with. Changes kind of like acting in a kind of sense. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like, I guess for me, I think about the work that's going to challenge a 15 to 19-year-old brain or 14 to 19-year-old brain and their spirits and their bodies and allow them to grow as artists and humans. I think of that first. And then I think of how we can create something together with, I like to bring in pals from the industry that are going to help us and support us. And just, I think of the people coming to the work and the people that want to really challenge the stories that are out there. I think that's at the forefront, and just the expectation of these humans and what they bring to the table. So many of the ideas come from them and so much of the magic comes from them. And I just hope that we create a space where, that big wide door is open and they can just like Ben, run through it, but don't fall on your face. Or fall on your face and we'll celebrate it. Yeah.
Ben, I don't know. Maybe Smith has told you that story, but 11 years ago, my stepfather died. And my mom loves live theater, but never went to it when Sig was around, my stepdad, because he didn't care for it. So she'd go see it if I was in it or if my sister was stage managing it or whatever. But when he died, she was miserable and at home and stuck, and somebody, and I can't even remember who it was. Oh,
Cody Ramsbottom's mom.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. Said, Sandy, come out with me. We'll go see this high school play. They're doing Les Mis. And my mom was like, oh, no, I don't want to see people. I don't want to do a thing. I want to just sit home and cry. And so she thought, well, you know what? It's just going to be terrible. I'll just go and whatever. And she said it was like the best thing she'd ever seen. And it started her on a track to healing through theater to the point where by the start of the pandemic, over those 10 years, she had seen 937 plays. Nope, 973 plays. So she'd seen about 100 plays a year, starting with Scona's Les Mis, because she said, I sat down. This is all in every article that's ever written about her and the documentary that Griffin just made about her. But she says, I sit down, I sit in the front row, I pretend I'm the only one there. And if I cry, nobody cares because A, they can't see me, or B, maybe I was supposed to cry at that part. But that she just loves it. And she'll always talk about Smith being responsible. No, Smith and her students that were in that production. One of which was Xylera.
Xylera, yeah. And Hunter Cardinal was in that show.
Wow.
And I know it's David. Oh my gosh, there's so many people. Like so many people that are actors now that were in that show. Yeah. David Walker, last name. Yeah.
That's the story, Ben.
I was just wondering, I don't know as much about Metamorphoses, but I know that like Ride the Cyclone and on Concord Floral, like most of the people portrayed in that show are like relatively close to the age of like of Smith's performers in it. Is there something different for you in performing a character closer to your age, like especially with sometimes dealing with problems relevant to like your life currently, rather than like trying to go John Proctor in The Crucible? Like, is there something different for you?
That is a really interesting question, and I think that it's also very kind of relevant with just for me personally, with just things that I have like kind of experienced this past year. Oh, I also just want to say thank you, Karen, for sharing that story. Like that was really like sweet, and thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I feel like with Cyclone, especially because it's a show that deals with such internal conflicts and expression that not a lot of people have like the opportunity to like display, or like putting people on a pedestal where their voice isn't normally heard, is very, very relevant, especially for a teenager, because I feel like playing Misha this year and just kind of seeing his frustrations and like defense mechanisms holding up until revealing how he feels, which I'm not going to spoil. But just like, you know, like going through that journey in a show, especially because of how the process is kind of like going throughout the entire school year, if that makes sense, also really helps with like kind of self-discovery. And I feel like that kind of works especially when you are playing a character that is either very similar to you, that's kind of going through a hardship that you kind of have to like have an outward perspective on, or a character that you kind of feel like is similar to you in nature but acts very different from you. And I think that's how I kind of approached playing Misha this year. And I feel like like halfway through the year, I kind of just had like this like epiphany, like revelation moment, right? And like just that like month-long period filled with just like deep night thoughts and stuff like that, the sort, has just been like very like thoughtful and very like thankful. I'm very thankful for that. And yeah, just kind of getting the opportunity to peer into someone very similar to you in an outward kind of manner, and getting used to that feeling so you can kind of do that for yourself is such a gift. And I feel like I've been able to utilize that a lot through this experience.
I'll tell you what a gift is. A gift is when you're a drama instructor and you hear a student speak so eloquently and perfectly and heartfeltly, which isn't even a word, about the process of rehearsal and playing a part. Like, not often do we get to hear somebody speak having just lived through this year-long experience of this play and the pivoting and the filming. And so, yeah, and now this will live in infamy. This podcast will always be there for Smith to listen back to the day that Ben said she was a great teacher. I know you didn't say that, but that's what I inferred. And also that you're a great actor.
I know, it's lovely to hear that, just to hear, because I know you thought about this character a lot. And I love to hear we would talk after rehearsal or before rehearsal, and we would have these intense conversations, sometimes in the middle of circle, about, you know, how these characters represented so many things that were close to life and then so many things far away. Everything from even the seven, because there's 7 of them, the 7 deadly sins, and how each of them gives a piece of themselves to Jane Doe by the end. Like, but that discovery that each of them had about who they were inside of their characters, but also who they were inside of this pandemic and in the making of art in this year, like what was crucial to life and what we were willing to wake up for, was really a cool journey.
That's a good way to put it. Willing to wake up for? Oh, yeah. Man.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, we wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't really, like, truthfully impactful on us as like humans and as actors, you know. And like you were saying, Smith, like I can recall so many moments, like after a rehearsal, where I just like go to Smith and be like, who really is Misha? And then we talk, and then I'd be like, okay, well then wait, who am I? Well then wait, hold on. But yeah, just kind of like that, just discovery is such an important word for me this year.
Which one has the scar? Is it me or is it Misha? Who fell on the rock?
Is it both?
Can I just guess real quick, Misha, are you on the improv squad as well? Team improviser?
I am.
Yeah.
I am
Improv
on
squad.
Improv squad.
Improv squad.
Well, I can just tell what makes me feel that is, A, you're quick and you're witty, but you're also an excellent listener. So I decided you're an improviser.
Hey, well, use those listening skills for this. The Breakfast Dish is a part of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown, community supported. The intro music you just heard and the outro music you're about to hear is by Alexander Cowman. All graphic design for The Breakfast Dish has been done by Morgan Ermter. So, Linette and Ben, we always do a section called Brass Tacks. Let's get into the brass tacks. Where do people go to see this, to see Ride the Cyclone and really all your productions? When are they running? What's the price, if any? Give me some links. Give me all that. Give me all that good business.
Oh my gosh, the business is that Concord Floral and Metamorphosis are both through fringetheater.ca, and they're going to be available, tickets will be available next week, and they're $10. And on the last day, the 19th, you can see Concord and Metamorphosis for $15, both shows. Cool stuff. And then Ride the Cyclone is through Broadway licensing show share. So you have to go to a different link for that. And those tickets will be, I think we're doing $10 for those two. I'll get back at you on that. But show share through Broadway World. It's like a BroadwayLicensing.com/show share. To look it up. It's a long one.
For all listeners, I'll bug Linette to send me the links, and they'll be in the podcast notes if you want to check them out.
Amazing.
Karen.
Yeah?
What's coming up?
Well, it's Pride Month, so I'm going to tell you about these two events. Did you know that almost every week in Calgary at the Calgary Public Library, you can experience virtual reading with royalty supported by ATB, which is also associated with the Alberta Podcast Network. They're great sponsors of everything. And here's what you can expect when you go to Reading with Royalty. Reading with Royalty celebrates diversity and encourages children to look beyond gender stereotypes and embrace the exploration of self. In programs like this, participants are able to see people who imagine a colorful world where everyone can be exactly who they like. Spark your imagination and celebrate inclusion and diversity with our glamorous, family-friendly storytime program led by local drag performers. So this is happening, the next one, Saturday, June 19th at 11 a.m. And it's an online event. And you should go to calgarylibrary.ca/events and programs. And you'll be able to learn more about that. And WordFest is presenting Ivan Coyote. It's their Imagine on Air, because everybody pivoted on air, but it's their Imagine on Air series. And they're presenting audience favorite Ivan Coyote and their new book, Care Of. This special 1-hour conversation on WordFest will be hosted by WordFest's creative ringleader, Shelley Youngblood. It's free, and so is Reading with Royalty. And if you RSVP, WordFest will send you a reminder on the afternoon of the show, as well as a unique digital doggy bag the next day with bonus extras sparked by the conversation. So for that, you should go to wordfest.com. Wordfest.com.
If one of you signs up for that and gets the digital doggy bag, please write into the show, and I promise you a good 5-minute segment on whatever the hell that is. Linette and Ben, thank you very much for joining us on The Breakfast Dish.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
How we usually like to wrap things up is Karen will, as mentioned, improvise a question here that we haven't planned, we haven't written, and it usually has something to do with what we talked about, but I don't give her a lot of time to think about it. Here we go, 3, 2, 1.
Ben, you're on a Cyclone roller coaster, and you have to puke up your breakfast.
More question. How are you on a Cyclone?
Cyclone roller coaster.
Thank you.
You're on a Cyclone roller coaster, and you're puking up the breakfast that you had that day. What are you puking up?
Oh, like Cheerios, right? But like Honey Nut Cheerios.
Nice. And Linette, you may or may not be the brand new curriculum director of Arts Trek Theatre Alberta's summer camp for teens. See what I did there? And we are going online this year instead of in person. And in person, there was always questions about the quality of the eggs. So we're online. What kind of eggs will you make yourself during Arts Trek Online?
Oh, chocolate eggs, of course. I don't know how to use my stove. I would try to do a poached egg, but I'd probably just like chocolate. Chocolate eggs.
Poach that chocolate. As we're coming to the end of our episode, I realized that we forgot to talk about the theater ghosts, but it's too late. The episode's ending. You
Bye,
have to
Emily.
see the shows to find out. Bye.
Bop, 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 bop.
This episode of The Breakfast Dish is brought to you by the Calgary Foundation, proudly supporting community needs for 65 years.
And they supported the needs of The Breakfast Dish for about a 9-month period.
They gave us our first grant, you're right. Whether someone is battling depression, fleeing domestic abuse, or worried about putting food on the table, it's times like these that inspire people to help others during a period of unprecedented needs.
They're a good team of folks.
They are a great team of folks. The Calgary Foundation is here to help. Through the generous support of donors, the the foundation offers a wide range of funding opportunities for organizations who share a common goal of building a healthy, giving, caring, and resilient community, one where everyone thrives. If you're a part of a registered charity looking for a grant, you are in luck because you can discover a wealth of resources at calgaryfoundation.org and learn more about the Calgary Foundation on their Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube channel.
Not only are they socially conscious, they're also socially, medially savvy.
Savvy.
This has been The Breakfast Dish.